In life, you need to take the good with the bad, and that rule applies to sports as well. In the NBA, it is easy to remember the great moments or the heart-aching times in history, but the embarrassing stuff, now that's for the birds. And with that said, let's jump right in. So, if you're looking forward to reminiscing about just a few of some of the NBA's most uncomfortable moments, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and make sure to tell your friends and family about the journey we are about to embark on. Now, let's dive in a bit deeper. How about the time that Allen Iverson discusses the merits of practice? There are two words that are forever changed by press conferences: practice and playoffs. Unfortunately, as great as the answer was on the court, the moment everyone always brings up is his time on the podium answering questions about missing practice. And the funny part about this is that Iverson should have been embarrassed about the fiasco, but he wasn't. He stayed true to himself and kept on moving. And if you are all wondering about how many times he said practice, it was 22 times to be exact. Next on the list of embarrassing moments is Paul Pierce. Everyone remembers the game where he had to be taken off the court in a wheelchair, only to come back as if nothing was wrong. Paul Pierce recently came clean about that moment, no pun intended, that has lived in infamy since the 2008 NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics faced the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals that year, and despite the Kobe Bryant-led Lakers being heavily favored entering the series, it was the Celtics who emerged victorious after 6 games, and the Truth claiming the Finals MVP award. This NBA Finals series was epic for a few reasons. However, the most memorable moment was when Pierce was escorted out of Game 1 in a wheelchair due to an unspecified injury. He returned a few minutes later, which led to many speculating that the injury was fake. Why would he need a wheelchair only to hustle back from the locker room in such a short period of time? Well, it may have taken over a decade, but Pierce finally had an explanation, and it had nothing to do with being hurt as we could all guess. However, the reason why he went out on a wheelchair was that he apparently had to use the bathroom. Did he eat some bad chicken before the game, or was he just really nervous? Who knows? But at least it's been confirmed. But the good news for Celtics fans was that Pierce was able to overcome his bowel movement issue and lead the Celtics to their lone NBA title in the past 3 decades. Next on the list is from someone who you wouldn't think would be on a list like this, especially because he seems a very cool and consistent guy all of the time. But after what happened to Tim Duncan, I am sure he is glad there are no stairs on the basketball court. You would think that one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world could navigate a flight of stairs effectively, right? Not so fast. Going into the 2005 NBA Finals, Tim Duncan doesn't quite handle the stairs all too well when approaching the podium to speak to the media, but he does throw up an imaginary shot and banks the shot off the imaginary backboard, I guess. It could have been a lot worse, so we are glad he didn't get hurt, and helped lead the Spurs to a 4-3 series win over the Detroit Pistons. Next is J.R. Smith. JR has been the brunt of a lot of jokes throughout his career, and was always up to many antics, such as untying his opponent's shoelaces on the free throw line, or forgetting he was playing and stopped to say hello to his old teammate Jason Terry while the other team scored. But those weren't his biggest missteps. In fact, ever since his biggest mistake on the court, he has mostly kept a low profile since the infamous Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. It's safe to say that JR is one of the NBA's more outgoing personalities. In Game 1, he seemingly forgot the score against the Golden State Warriors as he rebounded a missed free throw by teammate George Hill and ran out the clock despite the game being tied at 107. He didn't try to pass to an open teammate or try to put up another shot. He was too busy running the clock out. The man who once famously celebrated a championship shirtless has largely been out of the limelight since early last season, until signed by the LA Lakers midway through the 2020 season. But not all was bad. JR revealed that at the time, his coach, Tyronn Lue, was extremely supportive. "If it's my fault and you want to pin it on me, alright, cool," JR said. "I hit Ty Lue that night and I was like, bro, I don't even know what to say." He was like, "Bro, what are you talking about? You made a basketball play and it didn't work out. It happens." Another shocking find after the fact was that LeBron James revealed after the series that he suffered a self-inflicted hand injury when he punched a blackboard after the game. Smith has always spoken very positively about LeBron, and James himself has never blamed Smith publicly for the play. In fact, they are teammates again on the Lakers, in the finals, together again. Hopefully we will see part 2 of shirtless J.R. Smith celebrating an NBA championship. Next on the list is another embarrassing moment that includes toilet and stomach issues. During a press conference, Stan Van Gundy passed a little gas along with some of his answers. In fact, you could kind of tell that he had some gas pains before, but he gave himself a little bit of relief at some point where you can hear the distinct sound of flatulence. This wasn't a shocker to anyone, actually, as most media expects these kinds of acts from Van Gundy. Lastly, and a very embarrassing and touchy moment included LeBron James and his hairline. Yes, that's right. In fact, each summer, LeBron James comes back with a fresh hairline in, as if he is aging backwards with his best Benjamin Button impersonation. Maybe his hairline is indicative of his NBA playing career. It just keeps getting better and better. LeBron James clearly takes time out of his off-season to get plugs, and over the course of the regular season, his headband slowly slides up the top of his head as they recede in an October 26th game last year versus the Jazz. Maybe it's stress? Maybe it was the disappointing season the Lakers had last year. But during the game against the Utah Jazz, James's hairline could be seen actively receding. In fact, if you watch closely, you can actively see teammate Anthony Davis trying to tell LeBron that his hair was actively falling out. I understand hair is very important to everyone, man or woman, but I don't think LeBron would look too shabby with a bald look and beard. Maybe we should start lobbying for that. What are your thoughts? Should LeBron take all his hair off? Or keep letting the hairline make a comeback? Let us know in the comments.